The Yellowstone universe is not done with the Duttons, not by a long shot. Just when fans thought the dust had finally settled after the emotionally devastating finale of 1923, Taylor Sheridan is pulling the curtain back on a new chapter that promises to be the most gripping, most brutal, and most ambitious entry in the franchise yet. The upcoming prequel series, 1944, is officially on its way, and everything we know so far suggests it will redefine what a Yellowstone spin-off can be. To understand where 1944 is headed, it is essential to revisit the haunting final moments of 1923. Spencer Dutton and his beloved wife Alexandra had survived an odyssey that would have broken lesser people chased across 2 continents. Battered by betrayal, violence, and the unforgiving cruelty of a world that seemed determined to keep them apart. They made it to Montana, barely standing, barely breathing. But the cruelest blow came not from an enemy, but from fate itself. Alexandra died after giving birth to their son, John Dutton II, leaving Spencer a man hollowed out by grief. Chara, the steadfast matriarch who had carried the Dutton name through decades of hardship, stepped in to raise the infant. Spencer, broken in ways no one could fully see, took over the management of Dutton Ranch from the aging and retired Jacob. Meanwhile, in a quieter but no less devastating subplot, Jack Dutton had died, and his widow Elizabeth left Montana for Boston, carrying Jack's unborn child, a Dutton heir growing in secret, far from the land that bore his name. That is the world 1944 inherits, and it is a world on the edge of everything. By 1944, Spencer Dutton will have aged into something harder than rock. 21 years of running a ranch alone. 21 years of raising a son with the ghost of his wife hanging over every sunrise. It will have transformed him. Brandon Sklenar, the actor who made Spencer one of the most magnetic characters in the entire franchise, has publicly expressed his desire to return for 1944, stating in interviews that he is fully committed to reprising the role with the help of aged makeup. For fans, there is simply no one else. Sklenar's portrayal of Spencer has been nothing short of extraordinary, a man torn between violence and tenderness, between duty and love, and watching him inhabit that character at a later stage of life, weathered and emotionally sealed off, could be one of the most compelling performances the Yellowstone universe has ever produced. Expect a Spencer who speaks little, rides long, and carries the kind of silence that only comes from surviving too much. John Dutton II, Spencer's son with Alexandra, will be at the very center of the show's drama. Born into grief and raised on the edge of wilderness, he will be 21 years old in 1944, exactly the right age to be swallowed by one of history's most defining events. The Normandy landings and the broader theater of World War II will almost certainly pull John Dutton II into military service, creating the same double storyline structure that made 1923 so effective. While Spencer holds the ranch together back in Montana, his son could be fighting in the mud of France, finding himself on battlefields that are nothing like the open land of his childhood. The parallel narratives, the old man and the young soldier, the ranch and the war would carry enormous emotional weight, and would mirror the way 1923 balanced Spencer's adventures abroad with the family's struggles at home. No actor has been officially confirmed for the role of John Dutton II, but one name has emerged as a particularly compelling possibility: Austin Butler. Butler carries a physical resemblance to Sklenar that would make the father-son dynamic immediately believable, and he possesses the kind of smoldering intensity that Taylor Sheridan's world demands. His ability to project both vulnerability and toughness qualities he demonstrated memorably in Elvis would translate powerfully into the Dutton mold. If Taylor Sheridan is looking for someone who can stand next to an aged Brandon Sklenar and hold the screen, Butler is exactly that kind of star. The inheritance conflict that will likely define much of 1944's tension has its roots in a storyline many viewers may not have focused on in the final moments of 1923. Elizabeth, carrying Jack Dutton's child. walked away from Dutton Ranch and headed east to Boston. That child, Jack's biological heir, would have grown up knowing who their father was, knowing what land their name was tied to, and eventually arriving at the question every Dutton heir has to reckon with: what is mine? And how far am I willing to go to claim it? In 1944, that child could return to Montana, not with warmth or nostalgia, but with a legal claim and a grievance. Elizabeth, having raised a child alone after losing her husband to the ranch's brutal world, could die early in the series, a loss that ignites the returning heir's fury and provides the legal and emotional fuel for a battle over Dutton land that would pit blood against blood. There is an additional wrinkle. The end of 1923 revealed that Spencer had taken up with a widow and fathered a child with her. Depending on the age of that child relative to John Dutton II, the ranch could already be a place of quiet friction, two sons with the same father. One born of a legendary love and the other born of a quieter, more pragmatic bond. Whether Sheridan chooses to lean into that internal dynamic or let it simmer beneath the surface remains to be seen. But it adds another layer of complexity to what is already shaping up to be an extraordinarily rich character landscape. On the villain front, Taylor Sheridan has a long history of matching the scale of his stories with actors of genuine stature. He brought Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren to 1923. He cast Kurt Russell and Tim McGraw in Yellowstone. For 1944, the rumor circulating most persistently involves Matthew McConaughey, who has reportedly been in conversations with Sheridan about a project for some time. McConaughey, with his particular brand of Southern menace and philosophical unease, would be a genuinely alarming presence in the world of 1944, the kind of antagonist whose threat comes not from brute force but from intelligence, charm, and a moral flexibility that makes him far more dangerous than anyone wielding a weapon. Alongside him, John Bernthal has made no secret of his desire to reunite with Taylor Sheridan. And 1944 seems tailor-made for a character of his type, a ruthless, loyal, physically imposing man who operates in the shadow of someone more powerful. Together, McConaughey and Bernthal as the show's primary antagonists would give the series a villainous pair that could rival anything the Yellowstone universe has seen. Michelle Randolph is widely expected to return as Elizabeth, the widow who left Montana carrying Jack Dutton's unborn child and never looked back. Sheridan's trust in her is no secret. He cast her again as Ainsley in Landman. And that kind of loyalty does not happen by accident. In 1944 and older, harder, Elizabeth navigating grief while raising a child with a legal claim to Dutton land would give Randolph the most dramatically charged role of her career. No official premiere date has been set for 1944, but the business math tells its own story. Taylor Sheridan's deal with Paramount runs through 2029, and the network will want every major series from him on screen before that clock expires. Late 2026 has been floated as a possibility, though 2027 is the more grounded estimate for a production of this scale. One thing is already certain: if 1944 lands with the weight its setup demands, it will not just be another entry in the Yellowstone universe. It will be the one people remember longest. Now it is your turn. Are you ready to ride back into Dutton country? Who do you think should play John Dutton 2? Do you believe Austin Butler has what it takes to carry the Dutton name? Or is there someone else you have in mind? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is exactly the kind of conversation that deserves to be had. If you are as excited as we are about 1944, hit that like button. Subscribe so you never miss a single update. And share this with every Yellowstone fan you know. The best chapters of this story are still to come.